Alright, quick update on the car. This is basically what I've been doing for the past weekend. Just kind of tying up some loose ends and reattaching everything. But as you can see, I have the cooling system in place. And I did start filling it with coolant, but it's not completely bled yet. That's sort of the next step. Because I have an electric water pump on this car, I have this Mazir, I can basically just run it and pull the air out of it that way when the engine's not even on. Whereas if you had a mechanical water pump, the water pump itself is driven by the engine. It's driven off the cam, the little drive that comes off of there. But yeah, I have this new Mazir. It replaced my Summit. I used to have the Summit style one, but I think it was on its way out because it kept blowing the fuse constantly. But this Mazir I got pretty cheap off eBay because somebody had they just snipped the connector off of it because they were going to hardwire it. It's brand new. It's never been run. The other thing I've been working on for like the past 30 minutes or so is just pulling the old collectors out. These are from the old headers that were on the car. They were coated at some point, but as you can see, all the coating is flaked off. But they were destined for the scrap bin anyway, because they were all smashed up on the bottom. But what happened when I originally disassembled this car is it was like the collectors were seized in these slip fitting pieces, and you know I tried being pretty rough with it, and I still couldn't get them out. So I got impatient and just sawzalled the headers and ripped them out with brute force. Put the X-pipe up on the wall and never really touched it until now. So all I really had to do was just kind of rip the collectors out, and now I'm just kind of going over everything with a wire brush, making sure it's all cleaned up, and hopefully that won't happen again. At some point when I get the car running, I want to take it to an exhaust shop because I want to get new mufflers. I was thinking about ordering some Dynamax Ultraflows, which I figured would be a little bit louder than these. Right now they're super turbos, which are super quiet. So I want something with a little more volume to it. So I found I was having a little bit of a clearance issue with my rockers and the valve covers, which I kind of saw coming. The first one that I noticed was on the very corners. These are stamped steel valve covers. They're the factory type. And as you can see, there's this sort of curve on the corners right here. They're not as squared off when they produce these out of one piece. So because of that curve on the very edges, what I had to do was, you probably can't really see it, but I had to pound out these corners right here and make them a little flatter because there was a little bit of a taper going on. The next thing I had to do was cut out this portion of the brace right here, and I did this with my Dremel real quick. I went a little overboard, but these Scorpions are pretty hefty, so hey, I figured the more clearance the better. I just took my Dremel and went through and just took the top piece. This is on the intake. Like the intake would be over here, and the exhaust manifold is on this side. So you always have to do this with roller rockers under the stock valve covers. But yeah, all I really did was trim them up, did a little bit of filing and wire brushing, and try to get all the gunk out of them. Now I'm just soaking them in my parts washer. I got the other one already sitting in there, as you can see. So I'm gonna let this sit for a week, and I'll get back to it next weekend. So when I said that I was going to have to do a little bit of grinding on my rockers, this is what I meant. All I really had to do was grind the very back of it, just a little bit. I took this little radius portion off the back. It's not really needed. It isn't structural. When you look at Harlan Sharp rockers, they don't have nearly as much material on it past where the little push rod cup is on the back here. So this material is kind of just excess weight. These Scorpions are super overbuilt. And hopefully with just doing this little bit of grinding, I'll be able to fit all of them under the valve covers. Put the covers over there, just drying. I'm going to put another coat on them pretty soon, but hopefully when I'm done grinding everything and I do the lash again and plop the rockers on, I'm not going to have any interference issues. I finished doing the lash on this motor, and I used half a turn of preload for my hydraulic lifters, which is pretty much standard. And I just want to give everyone a quick tip on how to visually tell if something's wrong, or you have a collapsed lifter, or there's something not right with your geometry. So when you go and you do all the lash and everything is set, everything has the same amount of preload, about a half a turn. What you're going to want to look at is the set screw, how it sits in the poly lock. You kind of want to make sure each of these set screws is sitting at pretty much an equal height, that they're all sticking the same amount out of the poly lock itself. And if you go through here, you can see the very top of the set screw is pretty much even with the very top thread where this is threaded, the end of the bevel in the top of this set screw. So if you had something like a collapsed lifter, and basically what that would mean is like you have a broken spring in the lifter, and the cup of it is sitting at the very bottom of its travel. When you went and you did the lash and you did a half turn and you went to go tighten the set screw, that one would be sticking out a lot higher than all the other ones. It would be pretty obvious if something wasn't right. It can be a little tricky to do lash with hydraulic lifters because it's very much a feel thing. Being that all these set screws are sitting in the right spot and they all look pretty damn even. All the studs are the same length, all the guide plates are the same thickness, valves are all the same length, and they're all the same rockers, so in a perfect world these should all be pretty much dead even. And as you can see visually, they're all extremely close, which to me says that the setup was good, or it should be good. So when I fire it up, I'm not going to have any issues and everything will pump up and run nicely. So I went to test fit my exhausts, and I found out that I can't actually get these slip fit pieces to fit over my collectors for whatever reason. It seems as if the collectors on these new headers are just a hair thicker than the old ones, unfortunately. So I had to run out real quick to AutoZone, and it's almost 10 o'clock, and I made it just before they closed. I got a tailpipe expander. So what I'm really going to try to do is expand the slip fit piece a little bit more. Alright, so exhaust is on, finally. As you can see, I also put the O2 sensors in. I had to just tidy up the wiring a little bit, cut some zip ties, move some stuff around. But yeah, exhaust is on, got the clamps on, nice and tight with some aluminum tape. Has like a little makeshift gasket, seems to work. So I have my tuning laptop plugged in and engine's on standby. Hasn't been started yet or anything. And as you can see right now, it looks like I'm getting a reading. I'll know for sure when I press the throttle pedal, the TPS percentage or the volts will both go up. Here you go. Foot to the floor. Come on, 99. Yeah. Maybe I gotta adjust that. That's weird. Maybe it's the floor mat. I don't know. Won't go to 100. Got the scanner on. Engine's on standby. I'm gonna be keeping an eye on the oil pressure. This gauge isn't backlit, unfortunately. But as of right now, I don't think I have any. Yeah, no codes. So we'll see how it acts. Here goes nothing. Alright, it's out of gear. Gotta watch the oil pressure. It's a little goofy. Didn't want to idle down. No codes. Alright, so far nothing unusual. I went and looked around and everything was plugged in. Not entirely sure why it won't idle down, but I'm gonna give it another go. Looks like the coolant temp raised a hair. Just a little bit. Okay. Well, I'll just give it a shot. Okay. It's kind of odd because scan 94, 95 didn't pick up any trouble codes, but I did definitely see one on the dash, which is pretty strange. So I know there is a way to have this little HVAC piece tell me what it is. I'm going to look that up real quick. Alright, so it appeared that it was a knock sensor code, and my pulling of the one pigtail didn't seem to work. I'm going to do a little more research on that one. So let's try again. A little odd. Getting no reading through here. Okay, looks like it's working now. Let's try it again. Alright, something I'm noticing right now, it looked like my IAC was struggling. The min position was about 30, but it wouldn't go anything under, I think 89 is what it was stuck at. So I'm going to save this log. Open that up, take a look at it, make sure I'm not losing my mind, and then I'll come back to this. See what it's at now, 132. Let's try again. Round 3. Oh man, much better. Oil pressure looks good. Right now it's at about 1 grand. Target idle speed of 900, but it isn't dropping. 86. Coolant temps at 90. Battery voltage looks good. Looks like all the paint's burning off the headers. You kind of have to cook it a little bit, so that's to be expected. Check the coolant real quick. Alright. No air in there. It's going to be a little smoky for a while, but that's to be expected. Oil pressure's at like 60, 62. Looks like the coolant temp is moving, which is good. 130. Hasn't pegged the gauge or anything. I'm gonna kill it real quick, just to make sure all the smoke is coming from the headers, it's not pissing anything. Let's see. I see a little bit of coolant drip from the front, but that's probably from where? Yeah, it's probably from right here when I cracked the bleeder open. These headers are going to smoke for a while, considering it's fresh paint, and then also all the greasy hands that have been handling it for a while. Coolant level still looks good. It's probably going to smoke for a little bit. That's no big deal. Alright, cool. Yeah, I can see all the grime burning off the headers. Nothing looks like it's touching. Okay. Well, I guess I'll start it back up. See how we're doing. Stop that. Save a log file. Alright. Let's hit it. Looks like coolant temps at 133. Can't really see it, but the oil pressure is still at about, I don't know, 60 something, 70. It's up there, which is good considering the motor's cold. How are we looking? That was me, it blipped the throttle. Alright, IAC is at 62, 61. Still waiting for that to move. Maybe I just need to buy a new IAC, because that's kind of pissing me off. It's like we're smoking again. Oil pressure still looks good. Looks like it's slowly bringing the idle down. See the IAC dropping. Fuel trims look fine. Alright, we're in closed loop. 162.